We have Ini with the details at this point. Good to have you, Ini. Good morning.
Good to have you too. Good morning. Oh no, good to be here.
Yeah.
You having me. Good
Exactly.
morning, laddie. Well, let's find out what's happening in the world. Good morning, everyone. Of course, President Trump is leading all of that. After that rate hold, which we saw in the United States, we hear that the President, Donald Trump, is preparing to nominate former Federal Reserve Governor Kevin Warsh to succeed Jerome Powell at the head of the central bank, and several reports have shown this since yesterday. The report came shortly after Trump told reporters at a Washington event that he will announce his nomination for Powell's successor today, this morning. They're still hours away. And Trump's comments also suggest that Warsh will be his pick, given that the former Fed governor had lost out to Powell for the top Fed role in 2017 during Trump's first presidential term. Mr. Warsh has since spent years publicly criticizing the Fed. He was seen aligning himself closely with Trump's views over the past year as the central bank should cut interest rates aggressively. And of course, reactions have been following this. The metal market, gold, which we've seen gained many new highs since last week. Prices fell in Asian trade today, hit with extended profit taking after the U.S. President Donald Trump signaled that he would announce his nominee for the next federal chair later on today. Spot gold slid 3.6%. From about 5,500 it was yesterday, it's now 5,180 per ounce. Gold futures for April also fell 2.8% to 5,199. And then prices still remain on course, though, for a stellar January after hitting a series of record highs in the month. Bullion prices had risen to a record high of nearly 5,600 on Thursday after reports indicating that the U.S. was planning more attacks on Iran ramped up demand for safe havens. And talking about reactions to that, let's find out how the market closed, and that's in the United States, of course, following those indications given by President Donald Trump. Our correspondent, Maria Bird.
The U.S. stock market was a bit challenged on Thursday as the Dow Jones was slightly above flatline and the S&P 500 was down at 0.2%, while the heavy tech Nasdaq led the day of losses at 0.7% down. Many investors were a bit frightened by the AI spending reports, which showed mega cap companies that had major losses in earnings, as this was a clear indicator that we could see a downward spiral in the next few days and weeks ahead, specifically companies like Microsoft, which saw major losses on the day, up to 10%. Investors continue to watch the market through Friday to see if there is any type of upward swing before the end of the week, but there is hope that next week we could see an upward tick in the U.S. stock market.
Thanks a lot, Maria. Well, of course, talking about AI is dominating conversations globally now. AI spending increasing, however, jobs being cut. Finding a balance within that is also another side of the conversation. But still along that line, though, we see Apple reporting blowout first quarter earnings and predicting growth of as much as 16% in the current quarter. That's the first quarter of 2026. This matches the period that just ended. Sales, they say, could be even better if the company could secure enough chips. Yes, that's another topic, to meet its customers' iPhone demands. Instead of dwelling on memory, Mr. Cook focused on rising demand and the company's lean inventory, and he says that's what's keeping Apple from making more iPhones chips. Access to it, especially to advanced node manufacturing for its A series and M series chips, which the company calls SoCs, or System on Chip. Well, Apple manufactures its advanced node chips with Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, which dominates the market for leading node manufacturing. And Apple says that it was seeking manufacturing on the company's 3-nanometer node. And that, of course, still remains what they are looking forward to. But still, on how to handle that, we hear that Apple is prioritizing production and shipment of its 3 highest-end iPhone models for 2026, while delaying the rollout of its standard model. And that's because of marketing strategy shift and supply chain constraints, one we just mentioned. Nikkei Asia reports that, citing 4 people, that the US tech giant will focus on delivering its first ever foldable iPhone. I know Ladia has been looking forward to this. And 2 non-foldable models with upgraded cameras and larger displays for a flagship iPhone 18 that's now slated to be shipped in the first quarter of 2027. The move is aimed at optimizing resources and maximizing revenue and profits from premium devices amid rising costs of memory chips and materials, and to minimize production risks tied to the more complex industrial techniques for Apple's first foldable device. And away from the US, generally now, China has given its top AI startup, DeepSeek, approval to buy NVIDIA's H200 artificial intelligence chips with regulatory conditions that are still being finalized. That's the report we're hearing, and it suggests that Alibaba 10 said they had been given permission to purchase more than 400,000 H200 chips in total. NVIDIA's CEO told reporters that his company had not received such information, and he asked that he believed that China was still finalizing the license. And China's Industry and Commerce Ministries have granted approvals to all 4 companies, but have stipulated that they will impose conditions that are still being finalized. So I guess that's why NVIDIA's CEO hasn't heard that yet. And a growing number of global investors plan to add money to their China-focused hedge funds this year, 2026. And that's a stark reversal from the stampede for the exit only 3 years ago. This is according to an annual survey by BNP Paribas SA. A net 14% of investors intend to channel more capital to China funds this year, with about 9% of them already having done so last year. These are amidst a broader shift away from the United States assets. And the survey shows that appetite for exposure to the world's second largest economy this year is only slightly lower than interest in the North. And talking about job cuts, AI, and all those threats coming from the new order of the world, it's from Signify NV. That's the latest now. Well, they say they are launching a 180 million euro cost reduction program that would eliminate 900 positions as the Dutch lighting company grapples with weakening demand and mounting margin pressure across its businesses. The company reported 4th quarter comparable sales. It went down 5.2% to 1.49 billion euro, while the adjusted earnings before interest, taxes, and amortization declined 10% of sales from 12.4% a year earlier. Net income dropped also to 60 million euro from 119 million in the prior year. So it's obviously a worrying trend that we're seeing in the world now. We're celebrating AI, the ease it brings to businesses and jobs. But on the other side, it's also bringing a lot of announcements of job cuts. And that's it from the global space.